Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Season 10 playoffs. It's the first round between the Toronto Trick Roomers and Nashville Ninetales. I am Caleb C Gulley here, and then with me I have Parker Daddy Waugh joining me in the casting booth for this one. Parker, it is the cast of the dads. How do you feel about it, man? You excited? Excited to be here for your first cast too, right?
Yeah, first cast. Super pumped to be here. We got two electric teams. Somewhat of a rivalry, I'd say.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
OG players. I'm definitely excited to see how it turns out. Yet to see the results, so we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
well, that's the fun part. We get to do it live. Hopefully, give people on YouTube a chance to check this out. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We got the Toronto Trick Roomers, like I said, and Nashville Ninetales. There's a rivalry here. These two teams have played each other quite a bit. But before we dive into the head-to-head, we got some stats for that. We'll look at how these two teams handled the Season 10. And so as you look, we got the final standings here. Toronto Trick Roomers finishing as our overall number 3 seed with 15 points. And then Nashville Ninetales coming in as our number 6 seed with 7 points. Any thoughts there, Parker, on just kind of how these seasons just face value went?
Well, I would say TTR definitely had a solid season, got a lot of wins, played well, had some good teams. And even though the standings might not say it, I think it's not time to sleep on the Nashville Ninetales. They've got some heavy hitters in the back. I think they've had some time to figure out the team, good chemistry, kind of what he wants to bring. So even though he ended third from the bottom, I think Ali and the Nashville Ninetales are still a force to be reckoned with.
Hey, they've made playoff runs plenty of different times. And talking about the playoff runs, let's take a quick look at this bracket. We've gone over it with the Chapel Hill and the Queen City game. Parker, kind of walk us through how we do our Season 10 bracket with the W&W Pokémon Draft League.
So for this season, the bracket, it has that dynamic reseeding as you see. So pretty much it's always going to end up that the highest seed within the portion of the bracket, they're going to end up playing the lowest seed. So it really depends on how this matchup goes and then how JCJ, CHH, CCH goes. But the winner of this game will play whoever actually, what is it? So if TTR wins.
Right. They're going to be a 3 seed. So 1 and 2 would have to, drop for them to take the lowest remaining seed.
Yeah.
And so, Chapel Hill cast is up. And so Chapel Hill did win. And so most likely Toronto would be one of the middle seeds left. So they'll take the highest remaining seed depending on how the playoffs shake out. And so a little bit, that's the interesting part about the dynamic reseed, I think. It makes the bracket fun. You really don't know who you're going to play, and it just makes it a challenging road as well as a really rewarding one if you come out on top. So, but let's go ahead and just dive into the TTR team. Or I know we got the Nashville team up first. Parker, did our audio drop or something?
I got you.
Okay. I'll cut that out. We're good.
All right.
So sometimes we got that. So here we go. We got the Nashville Ninetales up here, Parker. We have Ali Hipsterbrownkid. He finished, third in his division, 6 overall. How does this season look?
His season it was a little tough. He made some moves, but he's got some menaces on his team. I remember draft night. We were all worried he was going to pick up Hydreigon, his signature secret weapon. As it turns out, he got Hydreigon, his secret weapon, along with Masquerada and Murkrow, all of which were pretty sought after, I would say.
Absolutely.
But most surprising this season, I would say Veluza has surprised me the most. The Filet Away, it's something else. He's built a little different, that Veluza is.
It is, especially with the redirection that they brought on with the Venomoth. As you kind of seen this keys to success box that we have here. Just because that Rage Powder allows that Flayed Way to get set up, and now you have a menace going on. You got +2 speed, attack. This can, it can go either way. So you got a really good Pokemon here with Veluza. Hydreigon was most Terrestrialized Pokemon. So obviously that key to success there, seeing how Hydreigon did he picked it up round one, and it definitely paid off for his team.
Definitely. I'm interested to see who the Terra is today because we have seen a lot out of Hydreigon, and it has somewhat felt like a forced Terrasilize because most of us had prepared to play against Hydreigon or just dark types for that matter. But
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what happens tonight.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be real fun to see that. And so, we'll take a step back, look at just the overall season real fast for the Nashville Ninetales. We go back there, see weeks 5, 6, and 7. They got that win streak. And most interestingly enough, that's when they start making a lot of their final roster moves. And that's when we saw the Venomoth come in, we saw Clodsire come in. And so Nashville got hot later in the season. And, I think having their roster solidified makes them a really good threat going into this playoff matchup.
Definitely, and it's always scary when someone gets it together right at the end because that's when it matters come crunch time.
That's when it matters come crunch time. And so let's talk about the other team on this matchup. We got the Toronto Trick Roomers. We'll look at the Pokemon stats here first on kind of how this team, finished third overall. The Division 2 seed actually swept my team. I never picked up a game off them. So this team's very good. You see Twerkle, you see Gyarados. There's Grimmsnarl, man. What's going on here? I mean, what made their team so good?
I think even though the best KD goes to the Torkollington, I think the most played and most KOs, the Gyarados has been an absolute menace. Just with Terra types allowed, you can save him pretty easily. Switch him to ground. That 4 times weakness is gone. Cyclizar, he's been pretty good lately, but I am interested to see if Dragonite is going to put in any work today.
That's a good question because Dragonite was a late season pickup. He picked it up in the last free agency window for the Gudra, and so it has that wide coverage and makes a real wild card on what's going to go on. Gyarados was most played. We saw Earthquake, Ground Terra, Gyarados tear through the league. We saw Fire Twerkle tear through the league. And what's interesting, though, is Jumpluff from Tier 3 has been a really good support for this team with redirections so that Gyarados can set up with Dragon Dance. And, Dragonite gets that move as well. Is that something we might get to see in this matchup?
We'll see. Jumpluff he's scary. A scary Tier 3 for sure because there's so much you can do with it. Definitely the support is what we classically think, but it's got baton pass on it if you're feeling crazy. It can be offensive, so I'm interested to see what happens. But when you have the Grimmsnarl out there, the pranksters are always up to no good.
Oh, absolutely no good there. It's been a good season for them. They've got to do a lot of different things. So back to the game stats for the Toronto Trick Roomers, Parker. They've had a pretty good season up to this point. Overall 3 seed, like we talked about, the Division 2 seed, 6-4 match record. Any quick observations you got here, Parker, with how this team's gone?
The quick observation I would have to point out would be week 3. He suffered his first loss to a solid MMC team, but other than that, he's been playing well, and I think he's been one of the top players to make good moves during free agency. Always thinking, what can I do to get my squad a little stronger? So interested to see how it all plays out. He's always working towards the playoffs, so we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, taking a nice little 2-game win streak into the playoffs. Your team. If anyone didn't know, Parker is the head coach of the Memphis Champs. He's got a very scary team with Annihilate over there. But hey, let's look at this in-season matchup we saw in week 2 between the Toronto Trick Roomers and Nashville Ninetales as we bring that up. Week 2 is a 2-0 sweep in favor of Toronto, Parker, +6 differential. That MVP in that series was that Grimmsnarl, and if you remember this, Sucker Punch was a problem for the Nashville Ninetales in this series.
And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see it again today. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But again, Grimmsnarl is just so versatile. The prankster's terrifying. It can play support and it can also do damage as evidence. So we'll see what happens if he shows up and what he decides to do with it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really good it's a good piece, a good night if I can talk. But something, hey, you talked about this rivalry between these two teams. They've been around since the beginning of this draft league. They played 10 seasons up to this point and have played a total of 24 matches. During that time, Toronto's picked up 15 of them, so that they leave this series 15-9. There's a lot of familiarity between these two. How much is the mind game played between these two teams, just on how much they've played each other, or is this new season, new meta? Because we're in Generation 9, it's all new to everybody. So, how much is the old versus the new play a factor here?
That's a good question. I think of all the players in the league, Chris has been very solid with the Terra types, but knowing that, it's always scary seeing a Lee in the playoffs. You never know when he's going to go off. Right. So we'll see what happens tonight. But I'm interested. This is 15-9 all time. I mean, the history would say that this should be Chris's game, but looking at Lee's team, that it's not going to be an easy one, at least.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so. But hey, we talked a lot about these teams up to this point, how season's gone, how head-to-head matchups looked. Let's finally just reveal the teams that you and I kind of had a little bit of knowing on what's going on here with today's matchup. As we pull it up on screen, we see from the Toronto Trick Roomers here, there's that Dragon Knight with the Fairy Terra, Fire Torkoal, Dark Cyclozar, a Ground Terra Glamora, a Dark Spiritomb, and a Dark Drowsy. A lot of Dark Terra types there. And then Parker from the Nashville side, you go and give us that team read.
We've got the Poison Clodsire, Water Hydreigon, the Flying Flamigo, the Dark Veluza, the Poison Venomoth, and the Normal Persian.
All right, so yeah, it is interesting. First thing that pops out to me, and we've talked about this a little bit, is there's no Grimmsnarl here, Parker. Any idea what you're thinking here on why that might have been left at home? Just because we've seen it be so good for them up to this point for the Toronto side.
The only reason I can really think of is just because of Nashville. They got a lot of dark types. The Prankster doesn't work great against the dark types, but even then, you can still get the screens up. But interestingly, I'm not seeing Gyarados here, and I figured that Gyarados would have been a pretty good bring, just looking at its record all season.
Yeah, I mean, Gyarados has been, KO leader, 24 on the season. That's something that we accidentally skipped over, and that's something that it's been a menace. Or Earthquake spam off that, or just Waterfall, Dragon Dance. It has redirection, it has Shed Tail Cyclozar, which we do see here for this matchup. Cyclozar has really good speed and can set it up. Is there a way we might see a Shed Tail into a Torkoal with a Trick Room going up? And how does Nashville play against that?
Nashville, it has the Cloydsire, who isn't the speediest out there. But besides that, Trick Room-wise, Nashville could be in some trouble here. Their team's looking pretty speedy, especially with a Glamora out there. That's always a little scary, but we'll have to see what happens. But, if Cyclozar is coming, you got to think the Shed Tail is soon to follow.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, at least to me. But you got Fake Out, off the Persian that you can run here. You got Venomoth for some redirection, and, we see Toxic Debris off of the Glamora. And you got two Poison types here that can absorb the Toxic Spikes. So entry hazards might not be a factor, or they could be. It depends on how this series is played. But one last thing on some Terra types before we jump into this game. We got a Terra Fairy Dragonite and a Terra Water Hydreigon. How does those two play into each other?
They both... I would say the advantage has to go to Nashville here. If they both end up tearing those two, if they're out there, Fairy's not going to hurt Water as much as Fairy would hurt the Dark Dragon type, but the Water type is an interesting pick. I imagine he was thinking for Torkoal, but interestingly, we're seeing the Flying type Flamigo. Makes me wonder if maybe he should have gone fighting with the 3 Dark Terras. So I'm thinking Flamigo here is going to have to play a pretty big role if they're going to pull out this win.
I guess with all that being said, Parker, we can go ahead and dive into game one as we get ready for this best of 5 from the Toronto Trick Roomers and Nashville Ninetales. Looking forward to see how a lot of these matchups we talked about take place. And so when you're ready, we will dive into it and let's see how it goes.
All right, I am ready.
All right, so let's go ahead and hit play. Start at the 56-second mark. They were gracious enough to give us the VODs, and here we go. So
here we go. Oh, we got the Mickey Minaj Gamora Ski Mask TSG Take Off One Brain Cell. We got the balloon on the Gamora. Interesting.
Yeah,
the 2 Pokémon types are out and about.
They are out and about. And Parker, what I really like here is on the Gamora, the Mickey we got the balloon that makes it immune to at least a ground type move. At least, right now it's pressured with the fake out potentially.
Yeah,
but you got spiky shield. So
there's a protect fake out. That's classic. Foul play. There's the tantrum. Good protect by Mickey.
Yeah, good. I think that's really good protect. Just because you scout out the fake out, you know that for the rest of the series moving forward, and now we get to see the helping hand in Terra Ground.
Oh, Terra Ground, chilling water, super effective. There goes the balloon. And a one shot, Mickey. Mickey, my goodness,
a big one shot if I've ever seen one. Golly.
Here comes the secret weapon, just like that.
Yeah, is it really a secret weapon if it's named secret weapon?
It's always the secret weapon. We got the protect, some icy wind action, slow down the spirit team even more. Dragon Pulse protect. Oh, and there is the trick room from TTR themselves, the signature.
Yep, they got the team name in action right here. With that speed drop, though, Icy Wind's actually working in your favor if you're TTR. So you're quite okay with seeing all this take place.
There's the helping hands. Sludge Bomb. Oh, and the poison. Okay, Dragon Pulse. Icy Wind picks it up. The Persian. Gamora, solid effort from Gamora, I'd say. We got secret weapon right on the edge, but here comes Torkoal in the trick room. Always scary.
Yeah, Torkoal and trick room here. This is the exact situation you want to be if you're TTR, as we see a helping hand coming in right now.
Yeah. Good protect. God, yeah, gotta imagine the eruptions coming. Oh, and it one shots. Oh my goodness, Persian didn't stand a chance there.
Yeah, absolutely. In the sun, helping handed, that's boosted, that's a ton of damage. At this point, I think it's a formality that Toronto kind of wraps this one up. You got to kind of stall out the trick room here if you're from the QC or the Nashville side.
Oh, flamethrower. Yeah, that's got to be all she wrote. Oh, and he holds on. Poison should do it. There it is.
Yeah, Poison takes that one. That was a quick game one as we come back to the matchup screen. TTR takes game one. Goes up 1-0 in this best of 5. Parker, what'd you see there? How does this play adjustment wise if you're Nashville going into game 2?
I mean, it's a good learning game, at least for Nashville. They know the trick room's out there, and it's something to worry about. But one thing that isn't ideal for Nashville, they don't know who was in the back there. Neither do we. But yeah. I think now at least Nashville has an idea that maybe the Icy Wind isn't the best answer if he has a trick room response. You never want to dig your own grave doing that.
Yeah, but that's a tough spot. But mainly, I think there was a lot of tempo in favor of Toronto there, just from the get-go. You scout out that fake out, that one turn. There was not any big damage taken onto Gamora until after it got its damage on the field. And then, getting that sludge bomb poison, it helps. But once you have that Torkoal in-game in that trick room, that's a tough spot to be in. I think a lot of this for the Nashville side is you just got to deny the trick room as best you can, and if that means going with the Venomoth with a sleep powder or something like that to deny, I mean, you got to be worried about goggles, but Not everybody runs goggles, as we know that firsthand.
Yes. Yeah. I'm interested to see how Ali responds because that felt like a pretty convincing win from TTR on that one.
Yeah, I mean, good start if you're on the TTR side going up one game, especially when you're allowed to use 3 of your Pokemon to get there. So,
Yeah.
A few adjustments to be made from Nashville's side, but we'll just have to see how it goes. So, with that, we'll dive into game 2 at the 5-minute, 12-second mark. And when you're ready, we'll get this one kicked off.
I'm ready, Freddy. Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Okay, let's see who comes out here. Cyclizar, Tyler the Skater, 60 Cent, Dragonite, Takeoff, Other Brain Cell, Palooza Version. So you'd expect a fake out here, but the question is who is going to get the fake out?
I think if you're going to do fake out, you do it into Cyclizar, just because there's a chance that's inner focus on Dragonite. I mean, you can scout it out, but being down a game here, I think you don't want to take your chances. And more likely to see a shed tail off Cyclizar here than anything else.
That is. Cyclizar, fake out, extreme speed.
That's a pretty good chunk.
And there's the fillet away as, down to 40, but gotta imagine it's the fastest one out there.
Yeah, you gotta be a little worried about extreme speed though, because that first one did about 35% of that Veluza's HP bar. And so with that, is that going to be a roll to 40%? That's the one thing I'm a little worried about if I'm on the Nashville side in this situation. Other than that, I think you're in a great spot to try to mow through, at least take one down with you.
You would hope so. We'll see. There's the feint. Extreme speed. He eats it.
Ooh, that was close.
Red tail. We'll see who comes out. The Torkoal. Yep. The Night Slash crit picks it up, and just like that, Dragonite is gone. Cyclizar back out there. Will we see another Shed Tail is the question here.
Yeah, I mean, you got 2 behind subs here at this point. Veluza should be fastest on the field, so there's a chance it can take the Cyclizar out. But we do see Terrifier.
Oh, cancels the Shed Tail and picks it up. That is big from Veluza. The Eruption. Oh, my. Ooh. Torkoal with 2 KOs there. Torkoal is a problem, especially behind that substitute. But here comes Glamora. We got Hydreigon and Cloydsire. So,
yeah, getting through that sub's going to be the big one here, just because that's the only way you're going to be able to take this Eruption damage is just getting that HP down as best you can, but you can't ignore Glamora. So, yeah. And what looked like a really good position for Nashville, TTR has put themselves in a spot to give themselves a pretty good chance to taking this game 2 over.
Yeah, balloon is big here because if you got to either deal with the substitute or deal with the balloon if you want that super effective 4 times.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that Hydreigon's going to be the one doing its damage first just means that, you know, you might not get as good a damage as you want onto Torkoal if you go into that subside. And then if you, and here we go.
Power. Cloydsire, 49, he's okay. But the Eruption picks up the Cloydsire just like that.
This Torkoal is putting in a lot of damage after that Shed Tail, proving that you don't need Trick Room for Torkoal to be successful here, which I think was my biggest takeaway.
He eats it. I think that is all she wrote, and it is TTR with game 2. Wow.
I honestly thought Nashville was in a really good spot to take over that with the +2 on everything on the Veluza there, Parker. But proving again, Trick Room's not necessary for Torkoal to do Torkoal things.
Yeah, that Shed Tail, that's scary. I mean, Ali needs an answer here for Torkoal, or I'm not loving his odds, but I'm not sure what he can do. He can't exactly Rage Powder it. He's just gotta.
Yeah, that's the tough spot. I think a lot of what you might have to do is if you have Terra Blast. I mean, Terra Blast in the sun here is not going to feel that great, so Earth Power is probably your best option. But I think you just got to get your pieces in the right spot. But you don't have speed advantage either way. That's the hard part. Unlike, what do you do going into game 3 here?
Yeah, I'm interested to see maybe Flamigo makes an appearance, but I don't know how much that's going to help against the Torkoal.
Well,
Maybe the Venomoth has some tricks up its sleeve, maybe put it to sleep, but this is scary for Torkoal. I mean,
yeah.
he's putting in absolute work.
Yeah, Torkoal's been really good. I think something you could do is if you do have a scrappy Flamigo, you can close combat into the Spirit Team slot, and now you're denying the Trick Room. And with that, now you're in a spot that hey, you have your speed advantage, and so maybe Hydreigon can take over at that point, and you can get your damage in before Torkoal can get rolling. I think that's the best way to combat this situation that Nashville's finding themselves in up to this point.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
Yeah, only one way to find out, and so we'll go into Game 3 here, and let's see. Does Nashville start the comeback, the reverse sweep in action, or does TTR close it out right here?
All right, 10-21. Let's see it.
Let's
okay.
see it.
We got the Dragonite out, Cyclizar out, Venomoth, Cloydsire. So Cloydsire is back, but Torkoal not out yet. We wonder if we'll see another Shed Tail kind of action here.
Yeah, there's a chance. And you can also Tailwind if you don't think there's a Trick Room coming up. But I think the big thing here is if you get Torkoal and you have an Amnesia going on, you have a chance.
So we get the Shed Tail, we get the Poison Terror right away. Glimmora comes out. Okay, we got the balloon popped. He eats it. Curse from the Cloydsire. Interesting.
Get that attack and defense up and the speed down. So if Trick Room does come up, Cloydsire is out in front of everybody else. Big live though by Venomoth there.
Oh, and the extreme speed will do it to you. The Earth Power, super effective. A lot of damage. Death drop. He's got the lefties, but and the Flamigo Co-Star.
I like that. Take the stat boost and see if you can run away with it at that point.
Yeah, but will the minus speed be a killer for old Quavo out there?
That's a good question. I don't know where its speed is at -1, but you got to respect that +1 attack and that +1 defense, because only way I think you get in front of this is with extreme speed. But again, I don't know the exact speed tier on how this works at -1. So.
And that should be it. Yeah, Cloydsire's gone. The Dragon Claw, he eats it. Close combat, not quite enough.
That's actually a really big live.
3. Hydreigon unfazed by the toxic debris.
Yeah, Levitate kind of coming in big there. So no more chip damage. You got your two probably best damage threats here, but they're up against the wall with 2v4. But
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. +1 attack on Flamigo. I like your chances there. And you're neutral, and we saw what that first extreme speed did, but we do see Quick Guard.
Oh, not quite enough to pick it up from Hydreigon. And the poison yet again. Dragon Claw should do it. All right, Flamigo's got his back against the wall.
Yeah, some low HP Pokemon there, so it could maybe pick something up, get something going, but no.
And the Power Gem do it.
Power Gem does it, and so with that, the Toronto Trick Roomers take the series. 3 games to none, the sweep. We don't see many of those, Parker.
No, that was a very dominant performance, and impressively, every game was a different strat there, and it seemed Ali he might have been calculating his answer for the last strat, but every time he was hit with something new.
Yeah. Actually, I think that was what was really good about the Toronto strategy here is they said, hey, we showed you Trick Room game 1. Now game 2, we're going to go through the Torkoal again, but we're not going to use Trick Room because we got Shed Tail, and you're going to have to get through the Shed Tail while taking stupid amount of damage off Eruption. And then game 3, they do the Shed Tail, and you're thinking, oh, Torkoal's coming in, right? And no, it's Glimmora, and then Glimmora is doing tons of damage with that Terra Ground Earth Power. So it's a great way to mix it up. I think that was the perfect way, That's why they came away 3-0. I mean, you're constantly adjusting to what just happened when something new is coming at you the entire series.
Yeah, that's just good playing by Chris and the rest of the TTR team. I mean, hard to play against when something new's hitting you every time.
Makes it tough. Yeah, I mean, really well controlled battle. They had the tempo the whole time. I think that was the biggest factor, just having tempo all series long. Be that Trick Room, be that, not needing Trick Room, just having substitutes up. So having that tempo, like I said, other teams reeling the whole series, that's just a hard spot to come back from if you're Nashville.
Yeah. And looking at Ali's team, I don't know. Do you have any ideas of how we could have answered that team? I mean, Meowscarada doesn't feel too great there.
I think if you do something, it might be a Murkrow here, but Murkrow I don't know if feels great, because at that point you're trying to fight the potential sun that comes up with Rain Dance off Murkrow, and I don't know if that's worth the move slot. It might be, but all you gotta do is just rotate Torkoal back in and out and get whatever position you want in. But at that point, you're sacrificing either your co-star off of Flamigo or your Veluza, and I don't know if that's giving up damage for potential support. So Murkrow might be it, but I don't know if it's just a one Pokemon answer either.
Nah, but I did like the co-star move. I imagine if Veluza had filleted away and we got the Flamigo out there, that would have been pretty scary to see. But
tough spot it's tough to pull off, but if you're able to pull it off, I mean, I think that just snowballs the game in your favor. So I like the strat of using co-star there. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as well as they had hoped, but still got a lot of damage on the board in the game that they did use it. So
definitely. But I mean, I was surprised to not see Gyarados show up, but I don't think we needed it there. That was a pretty dominant performance, all in all, when it comes down to it. I mean, he was ready, he had the strats ready. That's going to be a scary team going forward in the playoffs for sure.
Absolutely, would be a scary team moving forward in this playoff. And hey, three games, 3 series win gets you a championship. TTR already part of the way through that process now as their season 10 continues on to the second round. So I'll go bring us to our caster page real fast, Parker. Any final thoughts before we sign off on this game?
Watch out for TTR, man. They've got some tricks up their sleeves, and that's a scary team, and they didn't even have to bring Gyarados. And I think now, after this game, I think everyone's going to be ready for Torkoal, and that could be the perfect time for Gyarados to come back and put in the work that he put in all season. But all in all, TTR, hell of a performance. I don't know if Nashville, even if they knew what was going to happen, I don't even know if they had the right Pokemon for any answers there. That was just well played, well designed. Love to see it.
Yeah, well played by Toronto Trick Roomers. And so there you have it, folks. Round 1 complete for these two teams. Toronto takes the final score, 3-0. We'll advance to the second round. And, thanks for watching, guys. And we will see you in the next one. Round 2, Parker's going to be doing some more casts for us. Thanks again, and we will see you in the next one.